Because of our next speaker, John Spannuth, we have aquatics the way we know it in this country. From the Y to Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, he has worked in and out of the water. And as a human being, he's someone who really sees the good in every person. And as I prepared for this, all I could think was, John Spannuth, just add water.
This baggage is so heavy. Do you know that airlines are, of course, charging for the baggage that they check through for you? Now they're even charging when you carry something on the airplane. The jobs that I've had in the past, I've had to travel for miles and miles. One thing I remember was when I went to the 1960 Olympic Games in Rome. I carried 3 suitcases in my carry-on, my little briefcase. You wouldn't believe how I sweated during the time that I went to 6 different countries carrying all that baggage. When I came back from working in Saudi Arabia in 1986, I had a foot locker and 2 big bags, and here I was with all this baggage. When I got home, 90% of it I didn't ever use, because that 90% is in storage since 1986. Storage, paying $150 a month for that baggage, that heavy stuff that I was carrying around. You know, we all have an invisible bag that we're carrying around. It's not a suitcase. It's the invisible things that we carry around, the ideas that we'll never use, the habits that we have. All of these things that are taking up our time and that we're not really using. One of my best parts of the baggage is being a workaholic. I was a workaholic for more than 40 years. And I would just keep taking on jobs and taking on jobs. An example is, when the Kennedy Foundation hired me to be the International Director of Special Olympics, I was so excited about all the work that I could do. And I had the real great experience of working with one of the top leaders in the world by the name of Sergeant Shriver. Sarge called me about 3 weeks after I got there to the Kennedy Foundation and was working on all these big projects that I had. And Sarge had me come over to Watergate, and he talked about the 3 weeks, and then he said, you know, I think for Special Olympics to be a success, we really need to have a general rule book and a rules book for 14 different sports. And he's the type of person that when he talks to you about something, he's selling all the time. And so he said to me, would you do this, John? And I said, sure. Well, I had my regular job. And then he wanted me to write 2 books. So I ended up sleeping 2 hours every night for 1 year. Was I a workaholic? Well, that was probably the biggest lesson that I had regarding being a workaholic. But as I look back to where it all started, my father was a medical doctor, and he was brought up on a Pennsylvania Dutch farm. And you know what that's like. Wow, they work all day. They work so hard. And of course, my father worked hard. He'd go to work in the morning at 7:30 and come home at night at 10:30. So I knew to be a success, you have to work all day long. And so that's what I really worked on, working all day long. But workaholism and the habits that we have, and there's so many things in our life that we're going through. We have so many things that we've been carrying around for years. And so we need to think of reducing things that are no longer of help to us. What are they? Your bad habits? Your problems that you have in your life? How can you reduce them? Well, what I'd like to encourage you to do is to live life to its fullest each and every day. Remember, it's later than you think.